The United States and Canada reached a last-minute deal late last night to salvage the North American Free Trade Agreement. You know it as NAFTA. President Trump took to the podium earlier today in the Rose Garden to share further details.
Throughout the campaign, I promised to renegotiate NAFTA, and today we have kept that promise. The agreement will govern nearly $1.2 trillion in trade, which makes it the biggest trade deal in the United States history. Once approved, this will be a new dawn for the American auto industry and for the American auto worker. They will see. They understand. By the way, without tariffs, we wouldn't be talking about a deal. Just for those babies out there that keep talking about tariffs. That includes Congress. Oh, please don't charge tariffs.
All right, this new NAFTA will be known as the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. It sets new rules on financial services, digital businesses, and the auto sector. Starting in 2020, a car or a truck must have 75% of its components manufactured within the three countries to qualify for zero tariffs. That is up from 62.5%. In addition, at least 30% of the labor on a car or truck must be done by workers earning at least $16 an hour. That increases to 40% by 2023. $16 an hour is 3 times what the typical Mexican auto worker makes. And economists warn some small car production may move out of North America because of the added expense. Canada made some concessions on its dairy market, a hot-button issue for President Trump. The new deal gives American producers access to an expanded 3.6% share of Canada's domestic market and eliminates other barriers. In exchange, dispute settlement terms, known as Chapter 19, remain intact. A big concession for the Trump administration. That means an international panel will continue to settle trade disputes between the three countries, not U.S. courts. Meanwhile, no agreement has been reached on steel and aluminum tariff exemptions. U.S. officials are looking to keep those discussions on a completely separate track. Canada exported about $24 billion in steel and aluminum to the United States last year. A formal vote in Congress will not be held until 2019, and it is still unclear if lawmakers will support the deal. Trade Promotion Authority granted to the president gives Congress the power to approve or squash any deal up and down the vote without any amendments. Joining me now is CNBC editor-at-large, my friend John Harwood. Okay, John, this is basically a deal for freer trade, which is not something President Trump or Peter Navarro talked about on the campaign trail, but it's something many Americans like, and specifically the market likes today. So do you take this deal as a positive?
Yes, I think it's positive as compared to the alternative, which is to have the old NAFTA fall apart. It is mostly
but what about just
freer.
The old NAFTA stay intact? Do you think it's better than the current NAFTA?
Yes, it has improvements for the digital economy, most of which had already been negotiated by President Obama and his counterparts before he left office as part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is mostly freer trade. There are some elements of managed trade in it that are less free. That is to say, the provisions for the auto industry that require a higher percentage of North American content in cars that are exempt from import taxes. And secondly, requires a percentage of people being paid a certain wage that's designed to lift wages in Mexico, decrease downward pressure on U.S. wages. If those provisions work, it means our cars will get more expensive for U.S. consumers, but there's also a chance that they're complicated enough that they won't be worth it for automakers to comply, which means that the president's statement about a new dawn for the auto industry, that is almost certainly not correct.
Well, the one thing the president is good at is branding and marketing, and we're not going to know if those details will fly for another couple of years. So in the short term, especially since we're 36 days away from the midterms and things like auto workers and dairy farmers matter to the president, is this a winning deal? Does it win him support and votes? Because the tax cuts have not trickled down.
Not many. This is not something that most Americans are going to focus in on. It will have no immediate effects. Trade deals are very obscure to most people. And as you said earlier, this is essentially slapping a new label on an old trade deal, and workers, generally speaking, are going to understand that. The positive for the president is it removes a source of conflict and nervousness in markets. And anytime a president comes out and says, look at this international agreement I just made, that is a soft positive for the White House because people like progress being made. It's just not a huge positive.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.